Well, good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a great Wednesday, and it is great to be back. I am your host, Graphic Man, and we have a great show for you tonight. We are joined with a special guest, the classic comic collector. He has chosen to join us at this time, and we have Paulo and Tarleton 66 and Jambo. And we'll be joined by Eric Breen a little later, as well as probably Grot 2. Dr. Silver Age can't make it. He has a detached retina. And that sounds very painful. I can't imagine what that would be like. So he's probably going to have to lay on one side for a while. Grot 2's in the audience. Hello, Maranya. And we've got about 7 people or so watching. That will raise the more we go. Mm-hmm. And so I have been gone for a few weeks, and so I'm very glad to be back. I had to get away and recharge my batteries, and I love the great outdoors. Many years ago, I was viciously attacked by one of the famous Missouri gators we have in this part of Missouri. But ever since then, I have been a real trooper and trying to get out the great outdoors whenever I can. And so that's what I've been doing. But the cold weather is getting in my way. But it's great to be back. And I have missed the fossils. I've missed getting together with you guys. And
yeah, we've missed you too. I mean, Gratu did an admirable job filling
in.
He
sure did.
He sure did. Really good. But yeah, it's good to have everybody back.
Well, yeah. Jackson's in the house. Jackson Roy Kirk. All right. And like I said, we'll be joined by people a little later on. I don't know if I should, I guess I'll start by showing what's behind me. So I will go full screen for a second. So I've been making a lot of these boxes, and this is...
You've been busy.
Wow. Yeah. I'll show that She-Hulk at the top a little later more closely for a reason. And then behind me, there's some good stuff there. As always, I was inspired by After Comics, his channel, but hopefully I've done a little different and just kind of different. I can't describe it, but it's been a blast, and I've been slowly moving comics around. So, but I'm a little loss of words. So I picked up a couple of good gold key while I was gone, and start. Here's a Believe It or Not.
Oh, class. That's awesome.
Well, it's a great looking horse on that cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently it's a demon horse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys remember the cover to House of Mystery #1. It shows a woman running with wolves. And then later Superboy is running with wolves. Both of those are DC. Here, Gold Key didn't want to be left out. Here's a woman running with wolves. So if that is a subgroup, I guess there's three books you could collect for that particular thing. Here's a Dale Bugs Bunny. When you're learning to bullfight, you need to start off with a small calf. And so I think he's trying to do a good job there. Back cover.
Nice. White.
And this one I got free working at my comic shop. He doesn't pay me, but I get to come home with some books. This is it's a real giant of a book. And see how strong Tweety Bird is there holding up Sylvester. That was pretty neat. And DC comic fans will rejoice. Here's Flippity and Flop. It's seen better days, but
It's always nice to have books like that though in the collection.
And I just work a few hours at this place, and I get to keep them. So, got another DC House of Secrets.
Cool.
Very cool.
And there's a few more, but we'll save those for later. So,
I think there are enough Spacebird covers on those 50s science fiction magazines to do a theme show.
yeah. Well,
Space Birds.
like Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds. That's what we'll come up with something like that. All right, excellent, Jackson. All right, Paulo. Let's see what you have, or do you want to bring up a screen, or are you going to show us some handheld? Yep. Okay.
So let's share the screen. Okay,
there
should
it is.
be good to go. And here we are. Are you seeing the Disney comic?
Yes, and I want it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we used to have. We started printing the Brazilian Disney comics in Portugal in 1983, and finally we had our own editorial team in 1987. But before that, we had access to these Brazilian comics, and while there were themed comics with Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, I always preferred the anthologies. This was one of them, Almanac Disney. This one has, as you can see from the cover, a variety of different characters in different situations. Usually they start with a large long form story, about 30 pages, and then they have a bunch of smaller stories until the magazine runs out. I can't remember. I think this was 100 pages every month.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Donald Duck on the cover, but the main story at the beginning was the one featuring the sleuth, the one on the top left, Brother Rabbit. I can't remember what 000 was called in English. I think I'm not sure if the stories were made in Italy or in Brazil. So let's go. Okay,
Black and white, right? The black and white.
No, they were full color.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, but they were digest sized.
Okay.
Okay. Next month, Uncle Scrooge right there. Uncle Scrooge, Donald, and the nephews. They were always the best stories. Okay. Even when they weren't done by Barks, people wanted to emulate Barks, especially the stories done in Denmark. Also, the sleuth. The Brazilians love the sleuth, and I'm not really sure why. The stories, to me, they were never very good.
Right. So, was this average priced for your typical superhero comic as well, or adventure, I should say?
Yeah, they were about the same price with the same number of pages.
Okay.
Okay, so here's another one, 114.
Oh, the Blot.
The Phantom Blot was a recurring, always a recurring villain here with Gyro Gearloose. Although of course it was always better in the Mickey Mouse stories. Number 115.
Oh, that's a good cover.
Yeah. You'll notice the black hole here in the bottom right. Of course, this was not a regular Disney comic, but they decided to run it in this issue. I don't know why. It kind of doesn't gel well. Sometimes they would run characters from the movies. There's Brother Rabbit or Little Hiawatha, or when they ran what was the name? The Three Little Pigs. But when they had regular people appearing in the stories, it felt unreal compared to the rest.
Well, here in America, that would probably be around 1980 or so. Is that what this book is, or just maybe a few years behind? Or
yeah, this came out in 1980.
Okay, cool.
So I'm wondering if that's the same comic strip that they did for the black hole over here.
Mm-hmm. Issue number 116. You have a Mowgli story, and you'll notice looking over Uncle Scrooge is John Dean Rockerduck.
Okay.
Since most of the stories were made in Italy, the Italians preferred John Rockerduck as Uncle Scrooge's antagonist instead of Flintheart Glomgold.
So I think he only makes one American appearance, Rocker Duck.
Yeah, but it's appearing all the time in European stories.
That's cool.
I don't actually remember seeing any Flintheart story in the Brazilian and the Portuguese comics. The Europeans really didn't pay much attention to him, and I didn't know that Flintheart existed until I saw the DuckTales animated series. Okay, 117. There's a carnival theme here. That I think it was a text report with photos, which is why it's featured here.
So is that supposed to be Sheriff of Bullet Valley?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The art's not. It's okay. There's something different about it.
Yeah, the covers were usually done in house. Either they had to draw new figures, or they would just paste up scenes from inside the comics to make sure that they showcased as many characters as possible on the covers.
Okay.
Right, now moving on to my actual most favorite title of all the Disneys, Disney Special. The title is the little bullet here on the left, and as the main masthead, you'll find it the theme for the month. This comic was bi-monthly, and this one is dedicated to the artists. So every story in here will have, doesn't matter which character it is, it'll have something to do with the circus or the movies or theater. And even though there was always the theme, they did a good job selecting good quality material. And a year later, they would do these big books with Disney Special. They would pick up the leftovers, and they would glue the two comics together and release it in a hardbound edition for the newsstand. It would be called Disney Specialissimo, with twice as many pages, and those would be good because they would last you the whole summer vacation. Okay, this one is number 49, the robots. So everybody's acting like a scientist.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, you'll notice the presence here of José Carioca, of course, the Brazilian parrot from the Three Caballeros. Of course, being a Brazilian character, the Brazilian public became enamored with him, and they decided to do their own stories, which reflected actual, real Brazilian life. And of course, Fedri was also one of their favorites. Fedri did debut in American comics, but he was more of a favorite of the Danish production team. Issue number 50,
Super
the drivers. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh. Usually when the Beagle Boys showed up, they usually had the same number. So the usage of their numbers was quite consistent every month.
Super goof there.
I think I've seen the animated version of this when I had to go to traffic school.
Okay, issue number 51, Vacations. So this was definitely cover produced in house because it shows off all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Number 52, the villains.
villains.
All bad. Yeah, I kind of had a soft spot for Amiel Eagle. I mean, he was supposed to be smart, but he wasn't very effective. Okay, issue number 53, the Lucky Ones. So of course, Gladstone. Gladstone doesn't really have much. Doesn't really appear in the center of the cover. You'd expect him to be, but everybody gets a chance to be lucky. Uncle Scrooge striking oil
Yeah.
in the middle of the city.
Huh.
And even Chip and Dale finding acorns right there by the trash can where the Phantom Blot is being held. And I think that's it for now. Yeah, that's it for now. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll come back later. Have another 12 or 13 comics, and then I'll be good for another two showings.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Awesome. That's great stuff.
And Eric has slipped in while we were busy.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going, Scott? Nice. Glad to have you join us tonight.
Can you hear Eric?
He may not be able to. He's whoever the last person is in Eric. Scott's had a little difficulty hearing, so but yeah, he appreciates your warm compliments.
You guys can hear me though, right? Because I had trouble, I had computer trouble, so I had to reboot.
Right.
Now I can hear you. Now, here we go.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Awesome.
And I have asked Scott to show us what I keep referring to as the Betty box. I'm sure he might have a more technical name for it. But one of his videos, he goes through a lot of arts and crafts. And I'll set you up real quick, Scott. Here's some doorknobs from my bathroom. And, of course, the Captain America is a store-bought. But I wanted it to look like the Bronze Age Captain America comic where, he had the Falcon next to him. And back then they had the little round circles. And so I made this knob for the Falcon. And I also made this double switch. So I'm all for making little crafts and stuff. And if you could show that, I would like you to talk about that, and I'll put you at full screen.
Sure. I can do that. So here's a box that I made with Betty on it. And it was actually really easy to make. First of all, the box is wooden, and it's got a little magnetic latch. Here you can see the magnet to keep it closed. And basically, I just painted it black. The box was $1 at a craft store. I think I got it at Michael's. Might have been at AC Moore, but they're merged now. So I just bought a whole bunch of these boxes for $1 each and painted it black. And then I have a bunch of comics that I use for crafting, stuff I get out of 50-cent bins, a lot of incomplete books. And so I went through an old... it was Archie Pals and Gals issue that was coverless and was missing pages. So I cut out a bunch of panels, and I just took this picture of Betty and used Mod Podge. Just put this down, several layers of Mod Podge, and that's it.
Wow.
So it was quite easy to do. Didn't take more than... I have to wait for the paint to dry, but I painted a bunch of boxes at once. I mean, it's basically like 45 minutes of work. And then that's it. I have a bunch of different boxes. I've had some that I've sold at yard sales, which I no longer have. I had a Marvel Tales #1 with the reprinting the first appearances of all the different Marvel characters, and I made a bunch of cool first appearance boxes that are all gone now. But yeah, it's that easy.
Well, they look great, and you'll probably hear me say this often if you keep watching Graphic Man videos. When these guys show something, I always say, "I want one." So, but there we go. Night Tiger has joined us. Hello, Night Tiger.
Hey, Mike.
So, Mike.
And
Mike's been hitting the big time with his Golden Age books. I don't know if you've seen his Instagrams or not, but man, good stuff.
And Jackson, as I replied, that was kind of just before we started all this streaming. I started streaming with Eric and Gratu earlier this year. So, yeah, my walkthrough of the house is the lighting was terrible, but you'll get the gist of it. So, Thank you for showing that Betty box. I totally dig stuff like that. And you won't make anybody mad, especially because these are all pages that are already loose.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to an AF-15 and cutting it up just to get win. So this is totally understandable.
No, but I have several of the Marvel milestone reprints of Amazing Fantasy 15 that I got out of 50-cent bins a few years ago. So if I want to make an Amazing Fantasy 15 box, I can use the reprints. There's so many reprints of that it's really easy.
Yeah. I don't know who asked earlier. Maybe no one did. But when I said I'd mention the She-Hulk box I have over here, you'll notice I have the ROM in there because so I made this myself and then glued it on there. I didn't. These aren't cut up covers. So that was because I don't think She-Hulk deserved her own box. And Rom may have, but
Rom deserves his own.
I had plenty of
Micah.
I know I had plenty of room in there, so I thought visually I could say, "Oh yeah, there's where my Rom is. There's where my She-Hulks are." So, but I don't know. I think I'm going to quit. I've made 30 of these dumb things. So, but all right. Who would like to show something? Jambo or Steve or?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go to Jambo.
Let me show you this because I've been wanting one of these since I was a kid, and found one in a local comic shop, and finally pulled the trigger and got it because I got it at a good price.
Nice.
Well done.
I remember seeing this in the comics like you guys did back in the day, but the trouble was when I was buying comics back then, I was getting them at the local store off the spinner rack, and nobody ever ordered things like this.
Yeah.
No.
So, it was hard to get. And I didn't see my first one until I went to probably my first comic shop, actual comic shop. And at the time, it seemed like a lot of money for it. So never did get it. And the price hasn't went down. It's only went up. So I was able to wheel and deal a little bit and get this one at a good price. I mean, it's not in fantastic shape, but it's good enough for me. There's
That's
Mike.
cool.
So, yeah, I was really happy to get that. And
I'm glad I had mine when I did because I think now they might cost you $100.
Yeah.
yeah, they're at least that if they're in decent shape. So I like the Migos. So there's some good girl action for you, Micah. Some
All right.
Fawcett.
You're going to get these guys thinking.
Some 70s stuff.
I'm the good little Baptist here, and you guys are going to make them think I'm crazy.
Always been into Farrah. This is my old scrapbook.
Hey,
when I was a kid.
That's cool.
You can see got some Charlie's Angels action going there. And there's Farrah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That is so cool. Too cool.
And yeah, even more. And some of the cards and the stickers and stuff.
Oh yeah, remember those?
So in love with Farrah. I had the poster. Some Marvel stuff and some Godzilla stuff there. Just stuff I clipped out of newspapers from theaters and things like that.
Are there any value stamps in there?
There is not. I wish there was. But no, unfortunately not. Maybe the back or the front cover came off, but you can see there's the old Spider-Man TV series there.
Oh yeah.
So I was all about that too.
Yeah.
And just had to pick Farrah up when here's my signed Farrah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I had to grab that up. It was only $10, so I was like, "Yeah, it's $10. Well spent. There's $10 worth of hair there." So I'll let Steve show something if he wants to.
All right, Steve.
Right. All right. Yeah, I went to a show a couple weekends ago, and it was a local show, and it was pretty. I mean, we're lucky here. Like I said in my video, I did a video about it. We're lucky. We've got a lot of shows here. Not in Maryland and Virginia, and they're so close together. It's almost like once a month you can go to a comic show. So this one was more local to me in Maryland, and I went there, but there's a lot of new stuff and a lot of. I mean, the prices on some of this new stuff is just out of this world. So I went to a couple of dealers that I knew, and one had a book which I'm going to show in a second. But I was very happy to pick up Smiling Jack. One of the dealers I knew had this book, and I was so thrilled. Big Smiling Jack fan. I had received the AOK from Jess, who's on Instagram, and it had a Smiling Jack comic in there. I never read a Smiling Jack book ever. I read it, loved it, and found out it's newspaper reprints from the 30s. Dell's got it, and he's in Popular Comics. Smiling Jack's got his own book. This is 4-color 4 from 1941, and then I come to find out there's big little books for Smiling Jack. There's even a cereal with Smiling Jack in it. Tons of stuff that Smiling Jack is really popular. But anyway, I was off on a tangent here about Smiling Jack, but love the character. It's such a great cover. He's got the chicks checking him out. He's got his plane there. Everyone likes Smiling Jack. 1941. I was very happy to get this book. Happier than I was to go there to get this book, which I had bought at the Baltimore show from the dealer. I knew it was already graded, so I paid for it up front so he'd hold on to it for me. He's a local dealer, and it's a Tarleton book, believe it or not, but it's called Marvels of Science, and from 346. And this was thought to be the first Tarleton book, but that's changed over the years and all.
That's a good looking cover.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's more of a educational aspect of it, of that time period when people actually cared about the world around them and want to read about it, unlike now. But the train, I love the train.
Yeah,
the train's very, very cool. But yeah, I was happy to get this book, but the Smiling Jack made the day for me. Once I get bags and boards, I'm cracking this bad boy out and putting it in my Mylar. But this was I was very happy to find this. I think there's 3 issues of this, and it was a Tarleton. I never knew this existed as a Tarleton book. It's one of those things that as a Tarleton collector, and Tarleton was so weird that things pop up that you have no idea about. And later on, when I come back, we'll go over what I found out by what the first Tarleton is, and we'll go over that book here shortly. All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Smiling Jack, man, that's where it's at.
I don't know if our viewers are really familiar with the old 4-color. So what he just showed was number 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you get number 9, that's the Donald Duck. That's the first Carl Barks.
Yeah.
So you get in those old ones. They're hard to come by, and you got a real good looking one there.
I appreciate that. It's got a big spine roll, but it's complete. The staples are tight. Just that spine roll. But other than that, I took it the minute I saw it. I hadn't even questioned it.
Colors look good on that too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm so happy with that book.
Yeah.
I really am. I mean, most people will just bat an eye at it, but man, it's such a cool book to have.
Well, Eric, how are you doing tonight?
I'm half awake. We've been, like I said in my text, we've been buying fools this week. So 2 weeks ago, I was looking for things to do, and now I can't see out from behind the long and short boxes that have buried me.
Now that you've said that phrase, when you typed it, I didn't read it right. It made it seem like you were buying fools, like, House of Representatives or something. And what are you going to do with all these fools you're buying? But now I realize.
I guess just continue to let them serve in the current administration.
Yeah.
But I picked up a couple things for myself out of that.
Nice.
That's always good.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever get these back because of being cost prohibitive, but picked up.
Oh, okay.
That was the first X-Men I bought new.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted that back, but it's X-Men 100, so wasn't sure that was ever going to happen. And my favorite, and I don't know why, it's those goofy things. December 76. I just love all the comics from that month, and so I was able to get the X-Men from that month.
Cool. I
That's
always love
one
that
of my
cover.
favorite ones. Yeah, the
Yeah,
early
I always
one
love
there.
that great cock from.
And then maybe the best $3 I've ever spent.
No way.
Oh yeah.
It's missing a page, but it's not a story page. But the cover, and there's a piece of tape on the back, but I mean, from the front, it looks gorgeous.
That's awesome.
So I figured, why not? I love crossover covers and battle covers, and so I figured, why not? That's all I have for this round.
Wow.
I really I love that
Good
X-Men
stuff.
there. I think it's very reminiscent of Fantastic Four 28, where they're fighting the X-Men too. Great crossover.
It has the great line, Hank Pym to Hank McCoy. Save the flowery speeches, son. I hold a few degrees myself.
Yeah. That's when you realize Marvel always put in a real smart guy on these teams. So okay. Well, Classic Comic Collector, would you like to show us something else there?
Sure, I got a couple things. People that have seen my channel know that most of what I collect these days is Archie and romance books. So I just got this in yesterday. It's a Heartthrobs #1.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Which
There you go.
let me see if I can get the camera further back so you can see it a little better. Yeah, so this is from Quality Comics, cover by Bill Ward, and sorry, my camera's so crappy.
He does the hair really great on the females and stuff.
Yeah, and he has this great the lace on her on her dress. You can see it sort of trailing behind her, the moon. So this is a series that from Quality. And this is one of the DC Big 7 romance books. I'm trying to get the first issue of all 7 of them because after DC bought Quality, one of the only titles they didn't cancel was Heartthrobs. The first issue for DC was 47, and then it ran for another 100 issues at DC. DC ended up with, I think, all 7 of their titles, romance titles, lasted over 140 issues. So this is the 5th of them that I've gotten. I'm still missing 2 of them, but I was really excited to get this one in. Bill Ward, again, the great cover. This one's a little harder to get than some of the. A couple of the DC ones have photo covers, so they're not as desirable. The other thing, this is a modern, but I thought some of you might appreciate it. There's a Archie artist by the name of Dan Parent who does a lot of their covers, but he also does a lot of variant covers. These limited edition variant covers that are homages to classic comic covers. This is the new Chilling Adventures of Sorcery #1, but it's got
Neat.
yeah, it's a Chamber of Chills homage with Betty on the cover. Yeah, so you can see the logo there.
That's very cool.
That's great.
I didn't see that one. Yeah.
This one is a little less limited than some of the other ones. A lot of these that he does only have 250 printed. This one is also 250, but there's 3 different versions. There's a Virgin variant, and then there's a sketch variant. They all 3 versions of 250 copies printed. But yeah, I've started buying some of his homage covers, and I as soon as I saw this one, I knew I had to pick this one up. So
that's very cool.
yeah, so that's what I've got.
Fantastic.
That's great.
All right. And Mastodon has joined us. Hello, Mastodon.
Hey, Don.
Sweet Love number 3.
Wow. Yeah, Mike's been hitting it out of the park with his acquisitions recently. Jeez.
He always gets good books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Paulo, are you ready to roll again?
Yep. Let's share the screen here. Enter the screen. Okay.
There it is.
And here we are. So this was a special a title where every issue was a special edition. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, only 4 issues. This was published by the biggest publisher before Editora Abril came on board. They were called Ebal. The founder was involved with publishing comics even in the 1930s, and in 1947 he created Ebal. And what made the publisher's fortune was publishing the DC superheroes, especially Superman, which kept on being published between 1947 and 83. Occasionally, they tried to diversify their portfolio of characters, and here they took a shot at publishing a special with a few Warlord stories. This was for number 1, which is pretty good. But for number 2, they tried Unknown Soldier. With a nice Joe Kubert cover here. And number 3, they tried the JSA from All Star Comics with Batman's death. I think by this time probably we're going to start losing customers because this is actually a terrible cover. It's not very, very attractive, and I don't think it would have worked. And finally, number 4, which is Shazam from the 70s title. This cover is by Alan Weiss, which is probably not the best way to try to introduce these characters. I think they always work better when you try to respect the original designs, and when you try to modernize them, they kind of fall into that uncanny valley where you're really not sure about them. And this was the last issue of this title, which had an irregular publishing schedule. Okay, so a few other stuff is another one-shot. This one features stories from the Time Warp anthology.
Oh yeah, great stuff.
Which is something that I'd love to get, the Time Warp. This one is by Mike Kaluta. Mm-hmm. Another one-shot, Batman-themed edition, History of Crime. I don't recognize this from a U.S. cover, but although I'm not sure.
Batman Family number 17.
Great, thanks. And now a few European stories. Criminal was one of those anti-heroes which came hot on the heels of the successful Diabolic. Criminal actually has Criminal and Satanic had very similar uniforms, and sometimes, depending on the publisher, they would even switch names or take over the names of similar Italian characters. The publishers abroad didn't care; they just wanted the one with the coolest name. This publisher block, they were known for having very garish colors on their superhero titles. Fortunately, they couldn't do it on this one because Italian comics usually are black and white inside. So here's issue number 2.
That's a cool cover.
Yeah, the thing is, these covers were not Italian covers. They were made by the Brazilian artists. And there's issue number 3. This title also lasted for 4 issues, but I didn't find the cover to number 4. And an interesting series that Ebal put out. Didn't last long either, only 4 issues, but these are romance adaptations. This is the Romance of the Mummy by French author Théophile Gautier. Number 2 adapts The Legend of William Tell. Totally different style here on the cover. Issue number 3 adapts Quo Vadis by Henryk Sienkiewicz, who, according to Bill Sienkiewicz, is a distant relative. And issue number 4 is an adaptation of The Odyssey. And unfortunately, another one of those titles which didn't last. You try to do something educational, and the people don't care.
Exactly.
And that's what happens, right?
All right. Here's a little another one I got at the store for working.
Oh wow.
I need to get a Mylar for it, but
Nice. Oh, yeah.
1990.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It was a rough time.
And Jambo, I know you just recently completed your run. That is the psychedelic,
Trippy one.
the Illuminati eyeball. And
Somebody ate the mushrooms before they started drawing that one. Yeah.
What
And,
issue is that?
I don't know. I can pop it open later.
I don't remember myself.
There's a more. It's not real psychedelic, but it's got a
Brain.
wild, yeah.
Mhm.
And showing more gold keys. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
Great.
I have way too many lights in here now. The Aliens. A one-shot, only one issue of this.
Never seen that.
I haven't
Is
either.
that Captain Johnner and the Aliens? Captain Johnner, yeah.
Yeah, but when you look it up, it's they don't have
Yeah.
anything about Captain Johnner. It's all the
Yeah.
aliens. Yeah.
I could tell by the little dome, the little saucer head alien. That's neat.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. And I'll end with Mr. Ed.
Horse is a horse.
Of course.
All right.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to need to step out here. I appreciate meeting everyone, and I appreciate you having me on the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I think you fit in very well. And
Absolutely.
this you see, this is what we do. We just take turns. So, Eric wants to show you something.
No, that's it. I think he knows I'm a
Oh.
Sox fan also.
Oh, okay.
I've commiserated in the comments during the playoffs a couple times.
Yeah. It was good to see everybody, and I'm sorry I can't stick around. I'm going to miss all these cool comics, but I'll catch it on the replay.
Oh, no
right.
problem. Thank you for
Take
joining
care.
us.
Take care, bud.
Yeah.
See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
And Criminal is a Riot.
Yeah, Gore also has access to some foreign comics, and he has good eclectic taste. So is the person in the chat more likely to recognize what I'm showing?
Awesome. Awesome.
Night Tiger, the guy was embarrassed and didn't want it to let it be known who was doing the voice. Then he got to be so popular, he wanted credit, and they said, "Oh no, we got to leave it as Mr. Head plays himself." So, always get that credit early. Oh yeah. Thank you, Mastodon. All right, think we're all caught up now.
Yeah.
I guess with Jambo. would you like to show something else?
Sure. I, like you, have been picking up a lot of Go Key. This is not Go Key, but it is some Lost in Space I found for $1. Innovation run there.
Is the art similar inside?
It was good art, but it wasn't similar, but it was good art because this had the crew from the TV show. And they were slightly different in the Gold Key comic. But yeah, it's very cool. So I guess I'm going to finish these up now, try to get these. And there's number 5. So love those. And I got me a pulp this week. It's for you, Micah, because
there you go.
Had a green girl on it. Captain Kirk would be proud.
Yeah.
It's from 1952. It's fantastic.
That's nice.
That's a Ziff Davis, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
See
that little Hornet or whatever that is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a great painted cover there. And there's the green guys. Flying I don't know what kind of creatures those are back there. But yeah, just love the green girl there in the foreground. Very cool. And yeah, I got a few fillers from the local comic shop. But, this was the last one of the Man-Thing, the first series, number 22.
Mm-hmm.
So grab that. So I've got to fill in a few in between, but yeah. We got the first one and the last one, so we can just connect the dots. Got that one. I always liked this story. Galactus and the High Evolutionary.
I've always loved the High Evolutionary's design.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want that figure that we've been talking about on here. I'm going to have to get on Amazon and get one of those. Because, yeah, I always liked his look, the way he looked there.
Hello, Bronco. You're up late watching us in Israel.
Got a couple of these to fill in the run there. The Rabble Rouser, number 119. But just love those Doctor Strange in these.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in great shape, but I mean, it's okay. Got that one. It was pretty nice.
That's pretty cool.
Good colors.
Yeah. I think this one is Kirby and Steranko, I believe, together.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does look like the Destroyer, Mike. You're right. Some of his armor. And got this. They had it priced for $125, right? But it was in pretty good shape, pretty nice. So I gave $40 for it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job. Well done.
Yeah. So it was a lot better than the one I have. The one I have is missing about a quarter of the back cover, and yeah. So yeah, this one's been climbing in price too, I guess because of Mephisto in it and stuff. So, and got me a couple of replacements for
108.
some of my gem. Yeah. Nice Loki cover there. And got that one at a decent price.
Nice.
Merlin. I always liked the way Merlin looked on this cover.
Yeah.
With the traditional garb and the pointed hat and everything.
And did you see Kennedy in there?
Yeah, he's on the inside, but yeah.
They show his hair only.
Yeah. Yeah, it said something about that in the guide, too. I think Kennedy cameo or something, but yeah, it wasn't much of him. Like Kirby just knocked it out of the park with the detail on this one, on that Capitol building there and everything. It was a great cover. So that's about it. I'll show you a few more here in a minute if you want.
Who goes next?
You're
Mikey,
on
you're muted, buddy.
I was trying to look up the number because Eric asked what number that was, and the best I can tell in the dark over here is I think it's number 30.
Okay.
But I'm getting blurry. Meyer Greenblatt texted me today that he's having big drops put in his eyes, and of course you know about Dr. Silverage with that
Yeah.
detached retina. So and Gratu's been complaining about night vision. So
Yeah.
guys, got to take care of our eyes. So yeah, who was wanting to go next?
I can go.
All right, Steve.
All right. All right. So I had posted that that the Marvels of Science on Instagram was explaining that everyone thought it was the first Tarleton, but Zoo Funnies, according to the price guide, Zoo Funnies has, according to the Overstreet price guide, it says that Zoo Funnies number 101 is the first Tarleton. But if you look at the date, it doesn't jive with this book, which this is. I didn't know it at the time until a few weeks ago. But this is the first Tarleton, Yellow Jacket number 1, from 944, which predates the Zoo Funnies. I've seen this one graded before, and mine says Charlton on it. I've seen it says Frank Camoulier. I think that's how you say his last name. Publishing, but it was a part of the Charlton's publishing house at that time. So it's a Charlton book. So the price guy doesn't know it yet. I don't know if I should write them and tell them, but Charlton Arrow, according to their posts and what they said, which they know the history of the Charlton Company, says this indeed is the first Charlton comic. So I'm happy to say, ladies and gents, everyone who's watching, that I am in possession of the first Charlton comic. So I'm very happy about this. Even though this Yellow Jacket, it's his book, but he only appears in the little bottom there. I mean, he appears in the book, but on the cover, you got this.
That's a beautiful cover. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's at the bottom there, looking all cool. I'm 7 issues away from completing this run, which is only a 10-issue run. I've only got 3 of them. But as soon as I get my Mylar is coming out, I've decided I'm not going to wait to get all 10. I really want to read this and really look at the evidence, what it says about being Charlton. But everyone says it. Everything indicates Zoo Funnies. What was the date on Zoo Funnies? Was 1145 was the date for Zoo Funnies. This is 944. So over a year predates it by that. So if everyone's curious about Charlton, which I know everyone is, everyone's clamoring to buy Charlton comics. This is the first one.
That's a nice book, man. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. And it's a funky, obscure superhero, which that's the characters I like. I like the Centaur characters, Nidor, Hillman. Big fan of the Hillman characters. Any funky, obscure superhero book out there, that's the one I want. Versus the big names. I mean, I'm not going to turn away a Timely or anything like that. But if I had my brothers, I'd rather have my collection full of the eclectic morsel, so to speak. The last Charlton Comic Night Tiger, I'm thinking it was, I think Charlton one of the Charlton Bullseyes or something like that. The last, the Bullseyes, I do believe. I don't know for sure. And I did pick up the first appearance of Psycho Man. I found this for $20, believe it or not. Very happy to have this. My copy is long gone. So for $20, I'm like, here's my money. I'm taking it. But it's a very nice book. I mean, it's red and everything. It's not like perfect or anything like that, but for $20, first appearance of Psycho Man, I'm all over it. So yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. I'm pretty light tonight on showing stuff. I was just pretty happy to talk about the Smiling Jack and the first Tarleton comic.
So that had to be your big book that you got, right? Was the first Tarleton comic there?
No, the big book I got was Yellow Jacket number 7.
Oh yeah,
that was at the Baltimore show.
oh, okay.
That I had bought the Yellow Jacket last winter, or the winter before last.
Yeah.
The first Yellow Jacket. I'm like, oh my god, this is such a cool book. I want the rest of them. So I started buying them when I saw them, and they're not easy to come by. They're either graded or they're really beat to crap. So I'm ended up buying graded books, unfortunately. So I'm going to crack them out, and I'm going to do it on YouTube so everyone can see it. I am.
Well, they look great.
You have to do the scratch and sniff version of that, Steve, so we can smell it when you crack it open.
Yeah, cut that little thing off the thing and like, whoosh. Oh, there it is. You know. Yeah, man.
Paulo, before we go to somebody else, did you want to show some more? And then I know it's getting late for you.
Yeah, it's 2:00 now, so going for the final round.
Bronco Bear.
Oh, so this is Scorpio. This is the Brazilian edition of an Argentinian magazine. Scorpio was founded by Hector Husterheld, creator of Mordsender and of the Ethernaut, who was disappeared by the Chilean regime. The Scorpio was kind of founded with the help of Hugo Pratt, who, the Italian artist who created Corto Maltese, who immigrated to Argentina for a while, met Husterheld, and then served as a conduit to Argentinian stories appearing in European magazines. So there was also an Italian version of Scorpio. This is issue number 2. You'll see the number of action heroes that I have. None of them with superpowers, of course. Mad Sexton, Hanga, Necrodamus, Alvar Mayor, who was not a knight, royal guard during the 1600s. Scorpio, and Watami, who was an Amerindian, a native South American. Issue number 3, featuring the barbarian Hanga. This is number 4. This is Necrodamus. You'll notice 120-page stories in every issue. 120 pages in every issue. So this was a rather large magazine. I never saw these in Portugal, so I don't know if any of them ever got here. It would be an interesting collection to have. Number 5, more Mad Sexton. Number 6, featuring the crime action title District 56. And now going for something different, some of Turok's appearances in Brazil. It was also published by Ebal. They put out a comic specifically for it, and they used the original. Yeah, they used the original gold key material, including the covers.
Great cover.
Mm-hmm. Number 2. This is number 3. The covers look almost unreal in being published in a different country. I love this one.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Uh-huh.
Number 7.
What else?
and number 8. So I selected the first 8. This title actually held on for 2 years. There are 24 issues, so it was pretty good for Ebal to publish this. Not something that you'd expect normally. DC was one thing. Even in the 70s, Marvel was still a bit obscure. So apart from DC, the publishers usually went with what were guaranteed sales, like the comic strip characters or the not the Disney's, the Looney Tunes characters. Little Lulu and Kevin both had the distinct magazines, and I'm pretty sure that after 3 years they kept reprinting the same stories because nobody read Little Lulu past the age of 10.
I read Little Lulu, but everybody had that little sharp, pointy nose. It just kind of bugged me after a while. So.
Little Lulu and Little Lotta, right?
Yeah.
Little
Lulu in Portuguese was called Luluzinha. Kevin was called Bolinha, and the Little Lotta was called Bulota, Acorn.
Acorn.
She did probably what she ate a lot of.
Hey, Paulo, before you run off, I want you to tell me, was Dick Tracy, was he well received where you're from?
I don't remember seeing Dick Tracy, not even in the magazines that reprinted newspaper strips.
The Phantom was a big deal, though, right?
Yeah, the Phantom was a big deal over here, and Prince Valiant was everybody's favorite. Tarzan and Mandrake for a while, and also what was the Rip Kirby? Rip Kirby was famous for a while.
Hey,
Really?
Mike, what are those reprints from? Those who's doing those?
Well, Blackthorn did about 99 regular size, but these are thicker.
Yeah, those are neat.
They're Reuben Award. They're black and white interior, but
Love Dick Tracy. That's neat. I never seen those before.
I can't find these. They're called Reuben Award, but you see the Blackthorn
Right.
logo, but they're awesome, especially if you can find anything that has the brow in it. For those of you unfamiliar with the brow, he has a very gruesome death. He jumps out of a tall building, and his chest lands on a flagpole. The flagpole impales him. And the rumor has it some of the newspapers would not show. It was a Sunday.
Yeah.
They would not show his death. The Monday morning, they show the body and the flagpoles, sticking right out of the guy's back. And they're talking about how they're going to have to get a chains and pull the flagpole out to get the body out. Dick Tracy was a real rough read if you weren't ready for it, but I like it. It's good stuff.
And some of the traps that they would put Dick Tracy in, the torture traps, were pretty ingenious and pretty vicious.
Yeah. Well, Paula, thank you for showing those.
Thanks, Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
We wish you could stay a little longer.
But it's 2 a.m. Whenever we can, we should try to do a morning show on a weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up for that.
We can talk about other stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So it's 2:00, so I'm off to bed.
All right.
And I will be seeing you later.
Okay. Good night, sir.
Take care, buddy.
Paulo.
Good night, Paulo.
It's late for Bronco, too. I'm surprised he's still up. Yeah. Dick Tracy, before these, Steve, I would go to my newspaper,
Mhm.
or not my newspaper, my public library, the thing that no one goes to anymore. And I would get out their little microfilm and a little wheel and run it through their machine. And I would go through and just to see. And for 10 cents, you could print out their funny page back in the day of my hometown. And I would then take all those Xeroxes and I would try to make my own little books.
Oh, man.
It was costing me a fortune, back then. But for every 4 panels, it's 10 cents. And I'd make my own little book. And then and by the time the 1980s come along, Blackthorn and Gladstone did a great job. Here's a Gladstone, Dick Tracy. And
Yes, I've got some of them.
Gladstone was great for Disney is because you could finally see who all these artists were.
Mm. Oh, that's a great cover.
Dell and Gold Key were great, but they wouldn't tell you this is Carl Barks. No one knew who his name was, except some people in California. They knew who he was, but
Right.
I sure didn't. But Gladstone at least let us know Mickey Mouse, Floyd Godfredson. That's the one you want.
Yeah.
Eric, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I can show a little bit.
All right.
Just grab a random stack of the last stuff that I've read. I lose track of what I've shown where, but it's Avengers 94, part of the Kree Skrull War. One of my favorite Batman covers. He goes, quick, I need a copy of Batman. It's a matter of life and death. Mine. Sorry, Batman, I'm all sold out. But the rest of DC Comics suck, and they're all still here. I didn't think that one through.
No.
These two are in honor of Rod. Wish you were here. Captain Storm with the Go-Go checks.
Nice.
Good little story about Captain Storm and his ally/adversary, a Japanese soldier. Here's another one. This is the end of the Outsider storyline where Alfred becomes Alfred again. Here's Marvel Tales.
Great stuff. I love those Marvel Tales reprints.
Yeah, the Square Bound. We're all.
Yeah.
And now here's my attempt at impressing Steve. It's Unusual Tales, number 31.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's nice.
Nice.
And Unusual Tales 34.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have that one. That's neat.
And through the magic of saving on second-class shipping, I guess, it becomes Blue Beetle.
Yes. Yes.
Issue 50. And then, as if that weren't enough, let's confuse them even further and we'll change it to Ghostly Tales.
Well done. Yes.
And number 76 with a Jim Aparo cover.
Nice.
So how'd I do, Steve? Were you impressed that I actually followed the trail of this title?
Yeah, that was good. Well done. Well done.
Steve, do you think they did subscription services back then for Tarleton?
Yeah, they did, but it's sporadic. I mean,
you can imagine one day you're getting Ghostly Tales. I didn't order Ghostly Tales. Why am I getting this?
Yes. They did.
Where's my Blue Beetle?
Yeah.
Yep. I know they did in the 70s. They had a subscription service. Before then, I do not know for sure. And if it was, it's sporadic.
Eric?
Hey.
My copy, every page is separate and loose, but I've got them all stored inside this little wonderful plastic bag. So I suppose I could do what the classic comic. I could make stuff.
Yeah.
But I keep it there just for the fun. I have loose pages all over this place. that happens. Sometimes you get a box of stuff and it's got like an old Twilight Zone, and it's like missing half a page.
Yeah.
And I don't know, should I throw it out or I might
never
find
throw it out.
some use for it. So
Yeah.
It has to be basically confetti before I throw it out. You know. So.
Yeah.
Where's my Blue Beetle?
yeah.
Modern comics suck.
Well,
Does anybody want to show the new books I got today? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I looked at a couple. I picked them up and looked at them, and promptly set them back down.
yeah.
Uncle Scrooge.
No fingerprints on the new books for me today.
Yeah, it's just nothing out there even caught my eye, really. I mean, I was just looking at the whole wall of books, and there was nothing.
Well, pretty much everything Paulo shows. If that was over here, I'd be buying it
Oh yeah.
because that's all new to me. I probably wouldn't be able to read, every ninth word or so, but
You do better than any of the rest of us. I mean, I couldn't decipher anything, but except for what he told us. But yeah.
No. I'm about out of stuff to show. I think Steve is. Jambo, if you have anything else.
I got a few. I can show.
All right.
I got this, and Steve's already shown his when we were doing the Indians and stuff. But glad to grab that. It's beat and no ways near as pretty as his, but it's still a Frazetta and
nice.
One of his better covers. I like it.
Yeah, man.
Getting ready to scalp the baby there. I mean, how cruel is
That's
that?
horrible. Yeah.
Straight arrow coming to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Straight Arrow kills that guy or just give him a real strict warning later?
Well, I mean, he doesn't have any weapons, so he's either going to have to thrash him really severely or snap his neck or something, So
yeah, that's a great cover.
Maybe just a stern warning. Don't ever do that again.
Harsh language.
Yeah.
Sanctions.
So what's Betty doing on a Straight Arrow, and when did she get a kid?
Yeah. Does it have red hair like Archie? No. Who was it that had blonde hair in the Archie series? Moose? Yeah. Huh. It was just a lot of good detail in this. I mean, you look at Straight Arrow there and this buckskin shirt and stuff, and her hair, and it's very cool. So yeah, I was glad to grab that. It's from 1952, and I came across this.
Oh, cool.
It had my favorite robot, Robbie, on it. So I couldn't leave that behind. Liked it. My favorite sci-fi movie, Forbidden Planet. So yeah, I like it so well that I like Captain Strangelove. Bought the toy.
Hey, where is he tonight?
He texted me saying he couldn't make it.
So yeah, Robbie. But I grabbed this too, and I believe this is a John Buscema painted cover, which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
Nice old Savage Tales. He got some good brushwork there.
It is very cool.
The hooded antagonist there. Conan.
Yeah, I thought that was Earl Norm all this time.
Yeah, I mean it's very similar, but I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Buscema.
that's cool. That's cool. This whole time, I don't own it. I always thought it was Norm. This, I've always seen it from afar.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. Earl Norm does fantastic covers
Mhm.
on these. I mean, it's hard to beat anything he's done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was glad to grab that one. And Micah, I got one of your favorites. Couldn't pass it up.
Poor Micah.
Number
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, I always like those yellow covers. Yeah.
Good skull cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matilda won't like this if I ever bring this
No.
on Cover Slingers. I'll get pointed off for that, but maybe the
Unless you could set your camera to color tint or something.
yeah, it's kind of harsh on the yellow covers for
Yeah.
some reason. I like them myself. I think it makes other colors pop a little bit, but
Oh, the
she's
best
not a fan.
the best yellow cover is Sergeant Fury 16. Well, if you guys remember that,
I think
don't
I've
have
got
a
that
picture.
one. Yeah.
They're in the desert and they're trying to get into this fortress that the Nazis have, and they've been defeated. So Sergeant Fury and his guys are limping back. So, but that's a great yellow desert background.
Agreed.
Here's Mastodon.
Yeah.
You're right, Don.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
he was amazing.
Rampaging Hulk number 9 is one of my favorite covers by him. Where they're carrying the Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the ice block there. Yeah.
Iron Man's in his golden armor. It's great. The dust is kicking up at their feet. And,
Yeah, the way he did Thor there in the front.
yeah.
Ice block on his shoulder. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. And yeah, some of those Savage Sword were just, some of the best Conan work out there.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. Next to Frank Frazetta. Yeah, it's right up there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was about it. I didn't get to get a whole lot this week, but yeah. And I've got a bunch of stuff that I guess it's because of the mail and Christmas and everything is just held up in the mail. I'm waiting on some Schomburg airbrush covers and stuff like that from exciting and thrilling comics and stuff. And yeah, I've been waiting for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, guys, I wish you would have said
Right?
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them was from my comic shop, and they're usually pretty good. But
yeah.
yeah, it's been over 2 weeks now, and I'm like getting worried that
Right.
it's got beat up and lost somewhere in transit. So
Yep. Every day's an agony.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did my comic shop order, a friend of mine and myself, and it was close to 2 weeks before we got it. And the time before, it was 3 days. And that was like a couple months ago. So I don't know if
they give you the option to get an upgrade on the postage. I mean, I would rather pay more and get it shipped better, but they send it economy, and they pack them good and everything like that. There's nothing wrong with their packing, but just because of stuff like this, I don't know if it'd make any difference if you send it priority or not.
I don't know what is the one right below economy, but I get the option right below economy, and they are consistent 6 days.
Yeah,
always. I used to do the economy to save $1 or $2, but it would seem to take 2 or 3 weeks, and I thought I'll just go ahead and try the other, and I've been very happy with that. And I'm probably saying 6 days. It's probably more like 4 or 5. So
I'm getting ready to stick something in the mail for you, Steve. So I hope it doesn't take a month to get there, man.
I appreciate that, man. Cool.
Hope it don't take forever.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy.
I was worried because I had a Patsy and Hetty annual in that order, and I was thieves like to get their hands on Patsy and Hetty annual.
Yeah, sought after.
don't know if you guys can answer this. I'm not familiar right off the bat.
Bar, yeah. his Doc Savage stuff that he
Oh,
did.
okay.
The Doc Savage magazines were phenomenal. Love Kinbar stuff. And he did some paperback covers too, if I recall correctly. Kinbar. It's like Bob Larkin, Kinbar, Earl Norham, Boris were like the big guys that did a lot of the monster mags and the superhero mags and the paperback covers. Those were the names I remember. Bob Larkin, of course, is a big name that did a lot of Doc Savage stuff and a lot of paperback covers and comic book stuff.
Remember Michael Whalen? I think his last
Oh
name was
yeah,
Whalen.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of did the doll books for
Mhm.
Michael Moorcock and stuff.
Yeah, man.
He was a great artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, Jeffrey Jones was another great paperback comic transition between comic book and multimedia outlets for her artwork. You know.
I just got a couple of those Wonder Woman covers that he did. Jeff.
Oh
Jones.
yeah.
Those are
Yeah. Yep.
some of my faves.
Yep.
Well, I was getting ready to mention maybe we should close it down. Gratu, if you can come on, that'd be great. But
we're running out. I can show you guys some more Star Trek.
Star Trek.
That's always nice. Yeah.
Let me grab them. I'll show you those and stuff. I mean, we were looking at some of those trippy covers. Maybe I can find a couple more that's kind of crazy.
Jambo, is this like 10 minutes worth or
ever how long you want it to be, buddy? I did my top to my box.
I love the little Enterprise.
Hey, all right.
Awesome.
I didn't put a picture on there yet, but
I'm asking for Gratu's benefit. He's listening, and he'll probably determine if he's at a point where he can jump in. But
all right, I'll start from the last ones and go down. This is 61.
yeah, are yours numbered? Maybe you can verify that crazy one was number 30.
Yeah. Let me.
Okay.
I'll dig it out here real quick because
I don't know why Eric was asking. I think he wants to buy one or something.
I wouldn't mind trying to find that.
That's a crazy all-seeing eye and the Eye of Horus and the pyramid. And that's a real weirdo cover.
number 30.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it is 30. Okay.
Yeah. So there's number 60.
Here, I should put you on screen.
It's all right. Deal. Number 60. And 59.
That's his. I could have had a V8 cover.
Yeah. I think that's maybe the girlfriend nagged at him there or something like that. I don't know. He's to air is Vulcan. Nice Enterprise cover there. For 55.
That's nice.
You know, they might have sold more had they done like a Klingon cruiser or Romulan bird of prey covers. Yeah.
I always thought this cover was weird. Look at that guy. It looks like he's got lipstick on.
Yeah.
The tail of the bird there.
That's cool.
Here's number 58. Mikey,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
57. Six.
See, that could have been a Tarzan.
It could have, yeah, with the big
elephant.
elephant there and stuff. Elephants in space. There's a nice Cyclops. That one could have been Lost in Space. 53. Had a big Cyclops in the first few episodes of it. There's 52.
That's a nice one.
You guys watch those They got them on Hulu now. The Lost in Space. So I've been kind of getting into them and watching them. There's number 51. And the pilot episode did not have Dr. Smith or the robot.
Right. Yeah. Right. They added them later as a stowaway, right?
Yeah. In the very next episode, which was probably the first one of the original series.
Yeah.
49. Another Enterprise cover. And yeah, some of them are pretty good. They didn't start getting real hokey until later on and real cheesy.
Mm.
Number 48. They were trying to do it more as like a serious sci-fi TV show and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
47. Number 46, Spock with the big head. Somebody's been bragging about him, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
So you've completed your run, right, Jambo?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good deal.
Now you just got to get those little mini comics. There's two of them. Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm lacking, and I've seen some on eBay. I've got my eye on, and a guy has the whole set of them. There's 9 of them, and he has a display, the original display that they were sold in, also.
Ooh.
So
Good luck. Hope you get it, man.
yeah, I've got my eyeball on that. There's number 44, camel creatures or whatever they are, and ostriches. Yeah.
To remind people watching, he's after 2 of these, but I don't have them where I'd show them again. I had to clear them out. This StreamYard will only let you have so many images on hand.
Ah.
Yeah.
Number 43. I showed that one on Cover Slingers when we were showing sea creatures. There's the big baby cover, number 42.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Some of these were kind of weird. There's number 41.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, these need to be put in Mylar and stored away. But now that I finished them, you can't get Mylars. So
Yeah. Yep.
and I am out, so I'm going to have to either spend a small fortune, take out a loan at a bank and
Yeah.
get some,
Hmm.
or just wait until the price comes down, which
Mhm.
I don't know if it will or not. I think that's number 40. No, it's 39. Here's 38. Weird looking critter.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of these bags are pretty old. They've been in them for a while. So here's number 37.
Yeah, there's nothing better than sliding your favorite book into a Mylar, man. That's just,
Yeah.
I love it.
It just makes them look brand new again.
Oh,
too.
yeah. It sparkles and it just looks so good.
36.
Jambo, also while I'm thinking about it, Dynabrite Comics had 2 of those.
Yeah, one of them had this cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what made me remember it.
Mm-hmm. Actually have those also. So, yeah. I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty much done on them. I've actually got a couple of records also that the comics and records that they did. with
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice one. Spock there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Spock there. This bag is terrible, and you can see I got this at Mile High, number 34. It's a VG. It's pretty nice for VG, so they were a
Yeah.
little conservative on the grading there. I would grade that a fine anyway. There's number 33.
Who are the two profiles there on that cover? Is that Kirk and Spock on that?
Kirk and Spock up there at the top, yeah.
No, the profile, the aliens in the stars. Who's that supposed to be? The
Let's
two
see.
figures in the stars. Who's that supposed to be?
Oh, it's Kirk versus Kirk.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool cover.
Like that one. Nice
Yeah.
painted cover. It's 32. It's 31. Another rotten old bag that needs to go away. Yeah, we showed 30. The Trippy cover is 29.
Look at that.
What was the plant?
And that's all the time we have tonight. So again, I'm kidding. I just want to ground to hear that. So go right back to you, Jambo. Hold on.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was killing time for you, brother. 28.
Oh, look at the phaser. It looks different.
Yeah, it looks a little
Huh.
not the regular phaser, is it?
No.
It's more like the Klingon
Yeah.
disruptor. Yeah. And so 21.
Cool.
Let's see. 26. Spock with the Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
25. We'll end it there. I'll let Dr. Orloff say hello to him.
Hey, wish
up,
they'd
man?
hired the writers from the old Gold Key comics to write the scripts for these new Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, you like these panels.
Yes.
So I kind of like it when they get full screen too, but
Yeah, it's a good cover.
Yeah.
I just pulled a couple out to stall in case Grut came on. So, and speaking of Grut 2, we'll go right to him. Can I ask how your eye appointment went? Because we've had a few eye issues pop up with the other fossils.
Well, yeah, I just I've been seeing like lens flaring, oncoming headlights at night, and it just seems like I had a little bit of a sensitivity to light. And I went, well, I got a prescription, and he said, I asked if it was cataracts. He said it's just slight, and maybe in 15 years you'd have a surgery, and it would just be. Of course, I don't know if I'll be around in 15 years, but so yeah, it's apparently not a big. He thinks that there is an astigmatism that'll the glasses will fix. That maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's not as big a deal as I was afraid it might be. But
That's good.
so yeah, did I overhear? I had to run to this Mexican restaurant, and I overheard you guys talking about new comics today. Is that?
Well, not officially.
Yeah, how many did you buy today?
It was a joke.
Yeah, well, there was one that I felt like I should take pictures of it, It was a really funny bait and switch. It's some new comic about Krypton and Superman's parents. And on the cover, they kind of look like the traditional movie star looking parents. And you open the comic, and I swear that Superman's mom is a man with like it looks like the Rock or something. It's like a Cro-Magnon man with short hair, and it's like is Superman's parents are both male? Is really bad drawing. I don't know.
I would say bad art because the writer is the best in the business today.
Did you see the art? Oh, and they were also like squat dwarves. They were like real short looking.
But it wouldn't surprise me because it's for whatever reason, it's like they want Venditti to leave. He's the one doing the Superman 78 comic.
Yeah.
That's been very well received, and he wrote that Hawkman series I rave about. But apparently they don't care enough about him to give him any art anymore.
And apparently Danny DeVito wrote a script for a Penguin story. I saw that. And
because that'll fix that'll save the industry when you get it's like when they got CM Punk to write an issue of Thor. Oh, well.
I mean, Danny DeVito doesn't know anything about the Penguin. He spent maybe a month playing the character 30 years ago, but not anything close to what it is in the comic. But oh well.
That's Marvel went through that about 20 years ago when Bill Jamas hired celebrities to write the comics, and DC's usually only about 5 years behind Marvel. I guess in this case they're 20.
Yeah, didn't Kevin Smith start a storyline and he never finished it?
It took him about 4 years, and it was wretchedly bad. and he's actually written some decent comics. I mean, his Green Arrow run was actually good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Daredevil, other than killing Karen Page because he claimed later that he didn't realize she was popular.
That's the reason people have to be killed. They're not popular.
Yeah.
Well, no, he said he never would have done it if he'd known how popular she was.
Oh.
He's full of it. Yeah.
But but the Spider-Man Black Cat, the evil that men do, was just it was Santa Inc. bad.
Oh yeah.
But with beautiful art, though. I think the Dodsons did the art, so that
I've seen
skip the words and just look at the pictures. Like, oh no, don't do that because then I remember what the plot was. Never mind. Just skip it all together.
Yeah, but you just won't believe what Superman's parents look like. I mean, this person's apparently never seen a woman before.
And that's what they used to say about us when we read the comics.
Yeah.
Well, so.
And by the way, Eric, your CM Punk comment, I don't know if you watch AEW, but they've recently had a wrestler, badmouth him in front of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the lines was, CM Punk, you've been doing these movies no one sees, and you've been writing comics that no one reads. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, my goodness.
I'm glad you clarified because I didn't know who CM Punk was. I was going to ask, but that's a wrestler?
Yeah.
MJF is the future of pro wrestling.
He is.
What now?
There's a guy named MJF. He plays a very snooty character, always has a scarf, because he's a preppy, and blah, blah, blah. So He's the perfect villain, and he doesn't believe half the stuff he says. It must be fun to be him because I'm sure he gets a kick out of insulting the crowd, trying to make them boo. It must be a great life just to be, let's see what I could say today to irritate them. And they will spend money to see me because they want to see somebody kick my butt. It's pure old wrestling psychology.
Like the Nature Boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
so this is currently in what?
AEW. It's actually on right now on TNT.
I don't even know what AEW is.
All Elite
Wrestling.
It's
when did this start?
About 3 years ago. It's the son of the guy that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're I don't know. I can't remember what Middle Eastern country they're originally from, but they've got Vince McMahon money.
Yeah.
And they're the first serious competition he's had in 20 years. But when they came to Cincinnati, there's a wrestler from Cincinnati, Brian Pillman, that played for the Bengals for a couple downs, but he died of a overdose, and his wife and his son wrestles for AEW now, and they let MJF fight him at the Cincinnati show, and holy crap, the inside baseball stuff he was saying, that I can't believe that even I mean, obviously the family had to sign off on it, but man, it was it's like holy shit, I can't believe they're actually going there. Even though, like I said, even though I know they're not going to do it without permission, but the guy's great though. He's just he kind of reminds me of a Whittier Kurt Hennig. Remember him?
Yeah.
Because he's always smacking the gum and the smacking his gums. But
who runs this? What network?
It's on TNT.
Chris Jericho is the big name that pushes.
And Dusty Rhodes Kid is like the main guy. Cody.
We haven't had cable or direct TV in years, so I don't even. Yeah, so I somehow this is all snuck up on me. I didn't know there was a new wrestling.
Yeah, well, WWE is unwatchable now.
Yeah,
so this is. Yeah, said for those of us that could never quite kick. Let's be honest. Wrestling is a soap opera for guys, kind of like old Marvel comics were.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's I said. I mean, it's a habit I can't quite break. Of course, if AEW didn't exist, I could have broken it, because I said WWE's it's garbage.
What was the wrestling league that Marvel made a comic of? WCW.
WCW. That was they were big in the 90s. They went back and forth with WWE, WWF at the time, and Ted Turner owned it, and unfortunately he let the inmates run the asylum, and they ran it into the ground.
Because there was a comic I was just looking at where this guy with this weird face mask, I think his name was something Vader, and he had a big gas mask looking thing with a tube coming down. What was that
What
guy?
time is it? It's Vader time. Sorry.
Yeah, he's on the front cover of a Marvel comic. The art inside is terrible. It's like really bad. Worse than the Spider-Man comics of that time period.
I think he might have passed about a year or two ago, but he was actually in reality a wonderful human being that would make appearances like kids' birthday parties, like as Vader, and he was just this big, lovable teddy bear in real life.
And there was a character in that comic that later went on to WWF. Cactus Jack, didn't he become Mankind or something?
Yeah,
he was in there. That guy, I always thought he was cool because he was a Civil War expert. He listened to Christmas music all year long. He wrote children's books. He was like this brilliant. A lot of them are really smart. A lot of these wrestlers are college degreed, and they're very interesting, and they're just playing these roles.
He's a legitimate, accomplished author. He's written children's books. Let's put it this way, he would not like any of us.
Politically, or what?
We have the wrong letter next to our name. He does not like us.
Okay.
Because he's very, very far left.
Like what's his face that plays Drax? He's in
the ballpark.
Yeah. The Hulk is the real communist too.
Yeah. What's that?
Not the real Hulk. Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Now Mick Foley
pretends to be the Hulk.
He won't bring it up and throw it in your face like Batista will, but he's got no use for the Republicans. I don't know if that extends to those who vote Republican, but I know he despises the party and thinks the Democrats have all the right answers for everything.
Well, yeah, it's obvious because Biden's doing a great job. I read it somewhere on the internet. So it looks like things are going really well right now.
Getting built back better.
It's just it's like threatening Russia. I mean, it's like it's funny that everything's reversed.
You know, Putin's terrified over there,
Yeah.
right?
Shaking.
He's shaking his boots.
When I was a kid, it's apparent what's happening is that Russia was taken over by this communist, and then they got rid of it, and then they brought religion back, and so the communists here hate Russia now because they're Christian, and it's like that's why they're the enemy. It's like, and they're talking about maybe we should strike them first, nuclear style. And it's like, what are you? Actually, that was a Republican that said that. Just freaking out of their mind. But yeah, somehow Russia's become the Christian country, and we've become the agnostic country. I don't know exactly where things flip flop. Oh well. So, don't really have anything new to show.
Sorry, I didn't make it last week, Ratu. I ended up having to work kind of late, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. I don't even remember last week. I think last week I did it on Wednesday, and the week before I did it on Thanksgiving night, and so I think a lot of people are busy.
Ratu, are you being arrested? I mean,
Yeah,
blink
probably.
if you need help.
I'm stretching, actually. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't be surprised, So yeah, I got addicted for a little while to the WWF when it was WWF in the late '90s because all
great
the students were talking about it, and I said, "Oh, I've got to figure out what they're all, maybe I could." So I tuned it in, and I don't know what wrestlers these were. I wish I could get a recording of this particular episode, but they went out of the ring, and the fight continued, and they went in the men's restroom, and the cameras followed them, and they just broke the sinks and the toilets. It seems like they destroyed the whole restroom. And then came back as they were fighting. It was just unbelievable. It's like, what is going on?
I'm guessing Stone Cold Steve Austin would have been one of them.
It could have been. I don't know. But yeah, he was interesting. I hear him on commercials now.
Oh, they had 3 or 4 guys. I mean, they hired a legitimate Olympic gold medalist who had broken his neck, Kurt Angle, and he was mom, apple pie, baseball shirt. He was all of that. So what do? They make him a heel. And it was brilliant because he'd come out and play. He'd say all the things that a good guy would do, but he was a heel. And it's one of those they just lucked into that character. And at one time, I saw a 6-man tag match. The good guys were a dead man, a porn star, and a vampire, and they were the faces. That's when you know you're rolling when you. But yeah, it was a lot of fun in those days. But I don't think they ever really recovered when they became a publicly traded company, because when Vince's wife had political aspirations and she was a player in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Although she managed to lose twice in elections, but they became a publicly traded company, and then they started having to clean it up. Mm-hmm. And then Vince got older and more senile, and he does a couple shows every year in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And it's $1 billion with a B contract for a couple shows a year for 5 years. Before they went over the first time, the Saudi prince requested a wrestler, and that's fine. Problem was, he was dead. But other than that, little fact.
Did they bring him back anyway? It would have been worth it, right?
he wanted the Ultimate Warrior. He goes, he died 2 years ago. But, it's just, but like I said, he's too big to fail. But their product is just terrible now.
Yeah.
I used to like the bad guys the best anyways. They were always more entertaining.
Yeah.
Say hello to the bad guy.
Yeah.
And watching, there's old recordings on YouTube of the Crusher and Gorgeous George. I remember my mom talking about Gorgeous George.
Yeah. There was Ravishing Rick Rude. I always thought he was super funny.
Yeah.
There was
is it steroids that cause the face to start to become kind of ape-like with the mouth kind of jutting out?
I've never heard that is attributed to steroids. No.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of Schwarzenegger and the Peacemaker and who else is like that? I don't know. Some of the wrestlers just kind of have this weird facial structure, like the guy playing the Peacemaker. He looks like a superhero, but facially he just looks a little brain damaged or something. Maybe they like that. He doesn't have the chiseled movie star looks. He looks more ape-like. And Schwarzenegger always had that too. That I don't know. I just thought maybe it caused.
Cena was the biggest thing in wrestling over like the last 10 years until a couple years ago, but I never thought of him as being as larger than life as, say, The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or even The Undertaker. I mean, they came up with Cactus Jack when he in one night he would go. You wouldn't know if he would show up as Cactus Jack. He played a hippie called Dude Love, and he was Mankind, who was this just bizarre, unpredictable creature almost. And and it's one guy doing all that, and they just had so many really great characters in those days, and they just. But I don't know. I guess that was probably just a once in a lifetime thing that they had going, and.
Yeah, that was a even I could tell that was were some amazing times. Yeah, when all those guys were together.
Eugene.
Oh, geez.
You remember him, Steve?
Wow.
Eugene was a retarded character.
Oh, okay.
But he would.
I think we know what happened to him.
Yeah, but he would mimic moves. He would have the moves down from other wrestlers. He would know how to wrestle the style of almost any wrestler he was in the ring with. It was funny.
Yeah, but so wrestling's become politically correct, I would assume, like everything else.
It's not. There's not. AEW is more politically correct than WWE, but they just do everything so well.
Yeah.
Vince. Well, for one thing, he pays Brock Lesnar $5 million a year for 10 appearances.
Yeah.
But to pay for that, even though he's worth over $1 billion, he has released about 50 wrestlers in the last year. 2 of his top 5 stars. So, if you took a survey, people would much rather have any number of the people he's let go than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Lesnar's a joke.
But he also basically they're just there now to make this senile old man laugh.
Yeah.
Because they'll do just stupid skits. They'll write stupid things for people to say and do, hoping that the old man will laugh wherever he is.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas the guy that runs the new one, he trusts the people he hired to do. In fact, if his dad could run the Jaguars as well as his son runs this promotion, they'd be a Super Bowl contender, not 2-10. But I mean, they're it's night and day, and as far as just like entertainment, it's like it really, if you're past puberty, there's no reason to be a WWE fan at this point.
Yeah.
Because AEW, you said it's been around 3 years.
About 3 years now, yeah.
So that's why, I retired a couple of years ago, I would know it if the students would have been talking about it, but I'm not teaching them now. So. Well, that's something to look into, I guess.
Well, if you have access to TNT, they're on from 8 to 10 on Wednesdays. They have a show called Rampage Fridays at 10, and they do dark shows that they broadcast on YouTube. So
Dark
they're easy
shows,
to find.
what does that mean?
It's like dark matches, like the ones that aren't televised.
It's a label they've given it to them. These aren't typical matches that you get to see, so they call them dark one, or they're special ones.
Yeah.
And
Like
they're
when
free on YouTube?
What's that?
They're free on YouTube? With
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where I'll have to watch them, because
Sometimes when the big show would stop and the cameras go out, before the crowd goes home, they'd say, hey, let's bring a couple of guys out, and they'd have a special dark match that isn't televised. So they'd label it dark. That's kind of where that term came from, too.
But now they have whole shows that they just call dark. Yes.
wow. Yeah, it's a whole world I don't know anything about. I was wanting to meet the classic comic collector, but he bowed out like when I was picking up the burrito.
He told me that he probably couldn't even make an hour, but he gave it his best shot. He inhaled some gases from a book he had.
What?
That was kind of in a bad state, musty, and it gave him a lung. It made him flare up a little bit, and he was having trouble breathing.
Like mold spores or something?
I forget. I don't know. Steve, do you remember what he said before we went on?
He smelled a comic. He opened up a comic book.
It was an old one.
Yeah, and he said he smelled the paper. Then it had some asthmatic effect to him.
Oh, asthma. Okay.
Yeah, and he's on 2 inhalers apparently.
Yeah.
I get you.
Bad for the dude. But yeah, he smelled how he just breathed in that paper.
I would have asked what was the comic book and what was the issue.
He said what it was.
It's sensitive.
He said in a video that he's having to change, his collecting habit because of this. I mean, is it? Do you say it's just like a permanent condition for him?
He said it was just one book that did it, but since then he's been very susceptible.
Yeah.
To
wow,
certain,
that would be terrible if you had to buy modern books.
That's what I told him. I said, the crowd we run in, we like the old smell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like getting all these books when you're retired and then your eyesight goes bad.
So, I wonder how old this book was.
He said the number. It was issue 19 of something.
Oh, he tells, if I rewatch the beginning of the show, he tells
Oh,
you.
yeah, he tells you the book.
Oh, all right.
Well, I think, I don't know if also this was mostly said before we went live on the air.
Sure.
But,
Okay.
That's true.
So, but I thought he did pretty well. I kind of prepared him. This is kind of what we do. And he was able to show a few things, and he did pretty good. I don't know.
I heard most of it. I was just hoping he wasn't upset politically or something.
No.
We just assume that everyone is the same politically, and he hasn't been vetted as far as that goes. Yeah, so
we don't really get rolling until you show up, Gratu, and then we let both barrels
made about Democrats or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know. So
hopefully
I always
do another
missed
one.
Apollo.
Hopefully, he can do another one when he's feeling better. Hopefully
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I find his collecting fascinating, and I've always liked his show. And he used to, maybe he still does, a special show called Origins, and where he talks to people about how they got collecting. And yeah, I was just watching him the other day. He was showing a box where he keeps comics that he doesn't necessarily want, that he's going to trade off or something.
Yeah. No, I thought he did pretty good. I'm glad he got to meet a lot of us, and I hope some of his crowd comes over here, and I hope some of our crowd goes checks him out.
Agreed.
I think Paulo's going to go check him out. It's the first time he'd really heard about him. So,
Well, given our ages, it's good to have a deep bench.
Yeah.
Because our DL is growing.
DL?
Disabled list.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Although they're not allowed to call it that anymore because it's disrespectful to the
Oh,
disabled.
wow.
So now it's the
Really?
injured list. Yes. Baseball changed the name.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many teams have changed their name recently? 2 or 3?
Baseball, just the Indians.
Oh, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking of football teams.
That was the Redskins. And Dan Snyder is the team owner, is very much a conservative, and that's why he still hasn't picked a name, because he's doing it to stick it to the NFL. Because making him call it the football team for, what is this, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, and of course it came out that the Native Americans in the area were fine with it.
Yeah,
But just like everything else, it was white
Yeah,
progressives.
been around
Right.
forever, so.
that's
I
what
think
happened.
if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl again, they'll start attracting more attention, and they'll be the next on the in the target.
Well,
Yeah, they
I
won't
guess
let them do the tomahawk chop or anything.
it all depends on how long this. If I think we're pretty close to a tipping point. It's either going to get to where we're either going to get to the point to where the state controls everything and it's not going to matter anymore, or we're going to start heading back in the other direction. If that happens, I'm not saying that the Indians will take their name back, but I don't think you'll see any more of this. But it depends on how that goes. The next couple of years will tell, because I mean, like, you have Florida State, their college team, their name is the Seminoles, and the white leftists on campus scream bloody murder. Seminole tribe is like a big contributor to the school.
And the Florida Seminoles, they went to the tribe and said, "How would you like us to do this?" And so they've made agreements with the Indians there, so they kind of have a free pass because they did it the right way. And
Didn't they used to have a Native American mascot or fella that came out on the field on the horse and
oh yeah,
throw
yeah.
the lance
They may
down?
still do.
I think
Yeah.
they still do that. Because they've consulted the Indian tribe, and this is how we want to be portrayed, and so they've got all that in writing, and they could show it to anybody who starts to.
But that doesn't matter to these people, and
Right.
And then everybody bends. They bend to placate people that don't go to the school, don't support the products. It's like every other business now.
That's probably next Bronco Bear, yeah.
Padres.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hockey has the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
So
What about Cleveland? Are they going to change their name?
Oh, yeah, they already have.
They already have. They're the Guardians.
Oh.
And there's already a Guardians, like a roller derby team or something in Cleveland. Nobody likes the name change. But, I said, the people that got it done have moved on to the next target. They didn't care to begin with. So it's.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. We're going to either reach the point where we decide we've had enough, or we're just going to be,
Roll.
yeah, we'll be done.
Yeah.
Well, they're wanting us to put on virtual reality goggles and become part of this imaginary world and just sit there like we're in the Matrix and leave the and die off so we can leave the world to the billionaires that want to merge with machines so they can remain immortal because
Have you seen the commercial for the new Facebook, that Meta, where it starts with a 2D image of a tiger petting the zebra that he's just killed, and it's got all these kids watching, and they start bobbing their heads,
Yes.
like they're in a trance.
I saw the bobbing.
Yeah, and then I think the 30-second outro shows, it has everything but Jim Jones passing out the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's all they want us to become part of some world where you sit at a table and play cards with someone that's like some monster and someone else that wants to be some furry animal, and they can all, and you see them as that, and you're sitting around like what we're doing now, except like I look around, I see all of you like you're here around me, sitting at a table with me, and I live in this little virtual world. Well, because we're dirty, filthy creatures because we're made out of carbon. You see, carbon is a bad thing. It's bad for the environment, even though it's what trees breathe. But it's almost like we've got some alien satanic influence, and they say carbon-based units, you are bad. You must be exterminated. Because everything's carbon. We have to be taxed for breathing. You need to be eliminated. You need to be gone. And I don't know.
I wonder what they're going to do when they get their wish, and all the people that's our age and maybe just some a little bit younger is actually out here working and paying for everything when they're all gone.
Well, they'll keep some around, like Klaus Schwab says, as robot polishers, because there'll need to be someone polishing their immortal, because they'll be immortal. They'll be part of the machine now, and they'll live forever because they I guess Moloch says that's the way it should be, anyway, so yeah, the news is so horrifying.
I love how we always end these on such an upbeat note.
Well, that's because I come on and I'm just like I get more horrified every day, and you have to. I mean, it's like
that's why I don't watch the news. There's nothing good on the news.
I don't watch the news.
I don't watch. Yeah,
but you have to be aware of what's going on. I don't get it from the news, the mainstream news, but I'm aware of what's going on. And every day, it's more Book of Revelations than you.
I'm going to take a shot at making you feel a little better, Ken. I really think that the cabal, the Illuminati, whoever the blazes came up with this idea, played their hand about one generation too soon.
Yeah.
Because there are enough people that still remember how to think critically. If they had waited, like, say, another 20, 30 years, another couple generations of going through the public school, the indoctrination, blah, 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 and then something that cannot be named due to algorithm reasons had been loosed upon the globe, and all the things that came along subsequently after that, I think they'd had a lot easier time getting everybody to fall in line. I think there's just too many people that aren't going to that know that there's a better way. So I think if there's any hope to cling to, I truly believe that's it.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to turn out all right, because we may have to suffer a little bit getting there, because that's the way it plays out. God always wins, and Satan's not going to win, but might be a little rough on us for a while. But
did you see this one earlier? There's that.
Yeah, I did see that. I've never seen
that wild.
Issue.
Yeah, the pyramids way over there.
Yeah,
and This guy in the red cloak obviously worked for NBC, telling Spock how to think.
How many issues are there of that?
Ask Jambo.
How many?
His mic is off, but there's
60 or
probably
61.
Yeah.
61. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got a chunk of them, but they were very hard to find when I was a kid. And I was so into Star Trek, I would have bought them anytime I could find them or trade for them, I would get them, but they were hard to get.
Yeah,
And,
some of them are kind of tough to find, but a lot of times you see the same ones over and over again too, you know. But
it started right about the time it was canceled, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's 69.
I think was the first.
I think Dark Shadows did the same thing. I think it started right about the time it went off the network. I could be wrong about that.
By the way, have you picked up anything at your work recently worth showing?
Not really. I picked up some Grooves, Groo the Wanderer, which I'm trying to beat these idiots that are going to start speculating because some billionaire grew up with Groo the Wanderer and is financing a cartoon series, which might be wonderful. But at some point, people will start speculating. All the same people that I hear that the first issue of the Eternals was going for $3,000.
Oh my goodness!
And then it went. Now it's 1,000 for some slabbed Eternals #1, because everyone realized it's still not.
I would sell that so fast it would make their heads spin.
Yeah, but the people that paid $3,000 for it, thinking this is going to be some big thing. I mean, if it wasn't something you liked before it was announced to be a movie, why do you care now?
Yep.
And I'm a big Jack Kirby fan, but I never cared. It was always a book that was in the quarter bins. Yeah. I have a few of them, but it just never really. It was not a good period for Jack Kirby. I think he was burned out by the industry.
Oh, I can top that. Are you familiar with the character Elsa Bloodstone? The daughter of Ulysses? From 2 issues of Marvel Presents. She had a miniseries in like 2002. Well, we bought 20 short boxes of a guy. Basically, the guy I worked for bought a bed, and this guy had 20 short boxes of comics, and he wanted to sell those. And Mark said, I don't want them, but I'll give you 4. And he goes, how about 5? And he goes, oh, all right. Well, that was in there. The 4-issue miniseries. The first issue is $200. She hasn't been in a movie. They talked about it, but and so we knew if we sold the first issue that the other 3 would become wallpaper. So we put $225 on the set, got it in less than a day.
Wow.
And she next appeared in a Warren Ellis series called Next Wave. The second issue of that series is worth $3, but the first issue is worth $65. And I don't get it, but I came across one of those last night too, so I'm happy.
I don't know. I mean, I just get what I like, what I've always liked. And sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I've got to pick up my step if I see that I want to pick up some Groo the Wanderers that I don't have. I better act now, and when they're super cheap. I saw an interview with him. My wife keeps telling me how to pronounce it. Sergio Aragones. Now there's a real art to pronouncing that name, but. I saw an interview with him just a couple of days ago. It was that Kayfabe channel. You know that channel?
The cartoonist Kayfabe?
Yeah.
Kayfabe. Yeah, it's the guy that does that. What is that comic that's kind of interesting?
The
Red Room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's Ed Piscor.
Piscor, yeah.
And then the other guy, is he Kayfabe? Or is Kayfabe a name? I don't even know.
kayfabe is a wrestling term.
Yeah.
What does it mean? I don't know. I didn't know what it meant.
One theory was when you were going to the next town as a wrestler and you wanted to call your family back on the days you had a landline, you'd say, yeah, I want to speak to a collect call to Dorothy. Okay, who's calling? Tell them kayfabe. And they'll say, okay, is this Dorothy? We have someone named kayfabe on the line. That was a code meaning I've made it to the next town, my sweetheart wife, Dorothy. And so she'd say, no, I don't know who that is. Hang up. And so the message got delivered without any money. But the word kayfabe also means when you're the bad guy, you're not allowed to ride in the car with the good guy because somebody might see you at a gas station and go, hey, I thought you two guys hated each other when they're really good friends. So it has a double meaning. Steve's nodding his head. Am I getting both of those right or partial?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I've been hearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura said it's the same way in politics, that all the Democrats, Republicans that hate each other, behind the scenes, they're all together and all a performance, he said.
I use the wrestling analogy for that. Congress, they all have the same dressing room, but they come out through separate curtains to go into the chambers and fight it out. And then that night you see them all together in the same Washington bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if I don't know if it's still that way, because there really does seem to be legitimate rancor between the two parties until you get to the very top.
I think that to a large degree, some of the older ones, Mitch McConnell, they're all the same. But these people like from your state,
Rand Paul,
and that lady, I think they're legitimately not. They're for real.
Well, and I think the squad legitimately hates everybody.
It is like wrestling, though. You're right, because they're so extreme and nuts in what they say. But yeah, I guess it's because to a certain degree it's amusing too to watch all of this horrible stuff that's happening, because it's so incredibly stupid. When the president last night was talking to Putin, and he's on a TV screen, he's going, "Hi," and Putin's looking at him like, "Who's this moron?" Did you see that picture of it?
No.
It's unbelievable. But they're pushing things too far with this Santa Incorporated, to the point where they're just rubbing our noses in dog poop, and people, I think, are awakening to what's happening.
Yeah, because Seth Rogen and what's her name, Sarah Silverman. Yeah, they blamed white supremacists for the bad reviews. And now nobody will even review it for Rotten Tomatoes. The user score is like 3%. Nobody likes it, and nobody likes them.
And they had him play the Green Hornet, right? Wasn't he the idiot that played the Green Hornet?
Yeah, honestly, I actually liked that movie and didn't mind him in it.
Really?
That's the only thing I've ever seen him in because I've never been a fan of the. Whatever that genre is, where everybody's stoned, like Pineapple Express and whatever those, and that's how he's made his career. And he was one of the people behind the Preacher series, which was legitimately good in the first season, started sliding in the second season, and the third one was basically to show everybody how much more normal Hitler was than Trump, because Hitler was a character in the show.
Yeah,
and it was just an excuse to. It was TDS on steroids, and big shock, there was no season 4. But they didn't care because they got their message out, and But Seth Rogen is just a nasty human being.
Yeah. Well, they're rushing and they're pushing everything too quickly, and They thought as soon as basically the World War II generation was gone, then they release it and do whatever they could to, create problems but there's still you're right. They needed to wait a few more generations where there's no one alive that ever talked to a World War II generation person, and then you're right. They could have maybe pulled it off, but I think God's gonna win in this case, like usual. But you have to maybe everything will be fine, because it looks like everything that they do is just collapsing right back in their face.
Well, a good indication that things might be turning is you are now allowed to point out the people George Soros has funded. Yeah, for years, like hell, less than a year ago, someone mentioned that on Fox News and got kicked off the show.
Was that Glenn Beck?
No,
That was
no,
Newt
it was
Gingrich. Newt
yeah, it was
Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And he was told no uncertain terms that we weren't allowed to talk about. Yeah, but now they've been pointing out all the DAs in blue cities who keep letting criminals skate, and they go out off and now they're committing murder, and so
but who are the real Nazis? I mean, the people into eugenics, which have always been Democrats. I mean, they've always been out to it's traditionally. Oh well. So and then there was a Wonder Woman book last week that was looked interesting at first until I saw the pantheon of the Greek gods and goddesses, and half of them look like Oprah Winfrey. Like, wait a second.
It's the best analogy for where that fits is 25 years ago, 20 years ago. I can't speak for the four of you, but I bet you were like me and would go into the stores on New Comic Day, and it'd be just like,
I remember that.
Wow. They threw us away, and now they go after an audience that goes in there and agonizes over what one book they're going to buy, because that might be all they can afford, or that might be the only book that's progressive enough for them. And and we do sell a decent amount of new comics, but it's nowhere near the way it used to be. It's like they just like they waited too quickly they didn't wait long enough to try what they're doing now. That's going to meet with this meeting with backlash. I think they threw us away too early.
Well, I still see a lot of some people our age or older going in, and they had bags ready for them, and the comics are waiting for them, and they've got to back about this. So I mean, I don't know what they're doing, or if they read them, or if they just why they're getting them. I don't know. Is it for Alex Ross covers with nothing inside?
Well, the main thing also is the new comic book industry doesn't lend itself to collecting. They're not really designed to be collected anymore, because that when you're relaunching a book every year, sometimes more than once a year, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't lend itself to we would be we could buy the same title for 20, 30 years, and now if a book makes it to 100, it's like a 4-leaf unicorn. It's done.
Yeah, I cannot stand that they keep restarting the numbering. They started several. What was it? Hulk #1 2 weeks ago, and it's like, it's ridiculous. But I think that's great that you're cracking open slabs, and you're going to do that live on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've wanted some rich person to come along and just start buying slabs and breaking them open on
Free the books.
Yeah. I'm gonna think crack them open.
I hear there's some danger because the covers the ink can attach to the plastic, or if you ever take them out. You guys know anything about what I'm talking about?
I haven't heard anything like that, but I heard there's a danger if you leave them in there for a long period of time, like decades, it'll be a issue with the book.
Maybe that's what I heard. So what is the point of doing this? Just so you can sell them confidently to someone else or show them off on a shelf?
Yeah, and it's a trophy.
I don't like that.
It's people who got the side hustle of selling comic books. And I got a slab. Look how cool I am, and they want to sell it for more money, and that's what it boils down to.
If you had a display rack, I could see it. If you also had the stories somewhere else that you could read.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to, when I had, like I showed in my video, I used to have 3 rooms of those pegboards where I would, put display books up, and I could see doing that, with those. But I've never owned a slab, but I said it's, but like some of the like Steve, that book that you say you weren't going to break that open, is that available anywhere else? Has it ever been reprinted or?
I don't know for sure. Someone showed it on Instagram, some first few pages of that book, and I forgot what it said they got it. It's available somewhere. I just don't know where.
I know that Eglantine used to have a series of discs that had everything, digitized. But so maybe then I bet I said I mean they look cool, but I kind of like being able to bust them open and
I'm gonna do that.
Then you've got to get special bags to put around the shell that's protecting the comic. And it's just like it never ends.
Well, that's only if you take them, if you're a dealer, because or if you keep them in a box because so you don't scratch the plastic. But I mean it's sort of like album bags are optional for people. I say if you've got them on a shelf somewhere, you probably don't have them in bags because you don't need to.
It's like, and then they look at us. Okay, there's a color breaking spine tick here and here that won't press out, but this I can fix that, and I could probably bring this up from an 8.6 to a 9.3, and this I think I can fix that. Oh no, that's a color break there. It's like it's the freaking insanity. The Looney Tunes. I mean, I'll take any Silver Age book in good condition. You can read it. It's all there. It smells great. And it's like, oh, I can fix that and make it perfectly flat. Like then it has no history. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have something that connects me to some other time where I can open it up. And a lot of times these reprints, they don't have the ads, and that's important to me. And the whole experience, I could probably slab my Hulk 180, which apparently is not his first appearance because people slab books. They want the 181 cover. But, then it's like that Hulk 180 was held in that's probably the only one of several, 2, 3, 4 comics that I know my mother actually held in her hands and bought for me when I was a little kid. And so now I can never hold that again. I don't know. It's just, to me, comics are an emotional thing. They're not something to put on the wall like heads, like trophies of animals or something.
Right.
It's like and I want stories behind comics. It's like, this is why does this mean something to me? Because it's Moon Knight number 16 and it's got the first appearance of Boobop in it. And it's like,
I used to go into that room that I had a board in my Marvel room, and I had all the Marvel first issues from AF-15 on, and I would go in there and I would read Marvel comics in that room, and I'd read it and I'd look up and just forgive the pun, marvel at the board, and that's what I got out of it. But they weren't slabbed either, so I could pull them off the wall and read them. And then I got a little older, and the lighting in there was where I couldn't read in that room anymore.
And you've seen some of my setup over there. I've got a bunch of books on the wall, but I'm telling you, you could easily get your hands on these. I got the Kool-Aid Man free giveaway. I've got a House of Secrets and some stuff like that, but you can find these. They're nothing big, and I rotate them. So yeah, I don't. They're just okay.
If I had money, I'd get the worst, weirdest stuff slabbed, like I'd slab the Kool-Aid Man. It's just the most ridiculous things, like the Radio Shack History of Electronics.
Yeah,
just have a wall of the ones that no one wants. It's like a coverless Archie. I'd have it slabbed. It's like, I don't give a shit. It's just.
Well, they're doing pages now, so you could actually get a page out of the Archie.
Yeah, I've seen.
Slab, no.
You know, someone pays
covers
$1,000 for one Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, the only thing I can figure is for some people, like for guys like us, completing a run, like I said, like when Jambo finally got the 61st Star Trek, there's that sense of accomplishment. I finished a set, or I finished that storyline that I really liked, or what. I guess for some people, like that was a fantastic impression you did of everybody I've ever heard. The color break and the spine tape, blah, 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 blah. I guess that their sense of accomplishment is getting, arm fall off boy #1 from an 8.7 to a 9.3.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't understand that any more than they probably understand why I got so excited when I finished a set of a book.
Well,
I guess now the difference I think is that group I think does harm to the hobby because they send so many things into the stratosphere and make it impossible for normal collectors to finish certain sets.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like that spine tick is there because I used to store the comics in an old 1950s secretary, and they were unbagged, and I had them. Like one time, it fell over when I was in 6th grade, and I got that spine tick. It has a history to me. I don't give it. And what all? Yeah. And it's like I see these guys with these gold chains and the backward baseball caps and their yo-yo, they're do their rap career, and they're buying the Fantastic Four Galactus trilogy, and it's like, why do they? That guy doesn't understand why that comic's cool. This guy is listening to hip hop and. I don't know. I think you have to have a connection with the whole like why is he into that? Because Venom mentioned Galactus once. And Venom is cool because he's the demonic goblin. It's like stupid shit. And then someone was showing me, well, you know why the significance of this issue of Web of Spider-Man is David Michelini says that the hands at the end of the story are actually the hands of Venom, so this is actually his first appearance. And it's like,
yeah, I've heard that before too.
I mean, I don't. The art's terrible. Why do I care? Doesn't look like Peter Parker. It wasn't drawn by Steve Ditko or John Romita. I don't. Some of the artists might have been okay. Steve Rude could draw that stuff, but I just don't care.
I got to think that if David Michelini ever said that he did that to troll.
People that believe in it.
Yeah, because I got to believe that because I think he's a pretty sharp guy and he's been pretty much kicked out of the industry. So that's.
Oh, has he been? Is he a bad or good guy? I don't know.
He's He wrote he's writing the next issue of that company that I've been touting, the binge books.
Oh yeah, the
first one that Roger Stern wrote, and then the second one was a guy I'd never heard of, and Michelini's doing the next one. And they're just like I said, it's just like if you like stuff like Thunderstrike, it looks like it too because Ron Friends and Sal Buscema, inking, and good Lord, he's 87.
Yeah, I was going to say, how old is Sal? He's got to be getting up there.
He's old.
Yeah.
And hell, for that matter, Ron Friends has to be pushing 70, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, he's got to be up there.
Well, I heard.
You heard about George Perez, right?
Yeah.
I guess it was the England team that was saying that
What happened to
George Perez is sick.
Pancreatic cancer.
Inoperable colon cancer. He's
Pancreatic.
6 months to a year.
Yeah,
Wow.
6 months to a year. Horrible.
When did he last work in the industry?
Well, his eyes went south, so he had to basically retire from regular penciling several years ago. Yeah. And I think he just did a commission here and there. But
by the way, let me explain. You guys are talking about some poor guy having cancer, and I'm smiling ear to ear. I'm just reading some of these crazy comments, so I wasn't
reading.
I'm not smiling at the terrible.
Right. Yeah.
Just explaining.
I heard about Foom magazine and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then Marvel Age has the first black suited Spider-Man. Right. That's
technically.
Technically the first appearance. Well, is it Foom or is it the issue of Daredevil that has a little ad for Hulk 181? Because that was in print before Hulk 181. So you got to have that Daredevil issue.
Yeah. They're saying the fan art from the Foom magazine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have that particular issue.
Holy crap. Ron Friends is, good Lord, he's my age.
What?
I didn't think he was that young. Wow.
I didn't either.
We seemed really, I seen him quite a few years back in Chicago, and he seemed way younger than me. I don't know. This was about 25 years ago, I think. Back when he was.
I'm just aging everybody out. Hell, Sal's only 85. Well, hell, he's a kid.
Yeah. So.
Well, guys, we can keep talking after the show, but I wanted to let everybody know that if you just tuned in, go back and check out the beginning. We were joined by Classic Comic Collector, and we're going to be back next Wednesday night. And then a few Wednesday nights from now, right after Christmas, we'll be joined by Shannon. Some of you are familiar with him, so we're putting in some new faces every now and then, and we hope to see you guys back next time. And Ozzy 73. And on that note, I guess we'll say we'll see you next week, and happy drawing.
See you guys.
Good night, kids.
Good night.